Okay, so have you ever like gotten that like shiver, like a shiver down your spine when you find out like a secret,
Oh, yeah.
especially like a royal secret?
Oh, for sure.
Like those whispers from history, like hinting that there's something else going on, underneath all the pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
It's like so captivating.
Absolutely. It's like the ultimate high-stakes drama, right? You've got power and privilege and the potential for, like, everything to just kind of explode through scandal and betrayal.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And these aren't just, like, dusty old tales either. They give us, like, a really raw look at human nature under some of, like, the most extreme pressures you can imagine.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we're going today. We're not doing like the surface level stuff.
No.
We're going deep. We're going into the murky depths of royal power plays and shocking betrayals.
Oh, go.
These stories that we've been like digging into, they're not just historical footnotes, right?
Right.
These are like gripping narratives that still matter today
Yeah.
because they speak to something like fundamental in all of us.
Yeah.
And where better to start than with like a mystery that has held historians in its grip for centuries?
Okay. I like it.
The Case of the Princes in the Tower.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. A
Yeah.
truly, like, enduring enigma. You think
Yeah.
about it. 1483, two young princes, Edward V and his brother Richard, heirs to the English throne. They're placed within the Tower of London for their safety, and then poof.
Oh, and
They vanish from history, never seen, never heard from again.
it's the ultimate disappearing act.
Oh, for sure.
And casting a long shadow over it all. Their Uncle Richard III,
Mm-hmm.
he just like steps in, takes the crown amidst all these crazy rumors,
Yeah.
whispers of murder, of an ambition that would stop at nothing.
You know, Richard III's ascension to the throne is like the center of all this, you know? And the historical narrative, much of which comes from the Tudors who came after, paints him as the villain, right? The guy who took out his own nephews to grab power. But what's really interesting, and this is what our sources really focus on, is that there's this whole debate that's never gone away.
Right.
Was he really like this monster? Or was he just a ruler trying to like navigate a super complex and dangerous political landscape?
And unfairly maligned by his successors, potentially.
Yeah, exactly. That's a question that keeps historians up at night, isn't it?
It really is. Even now, centuries later, the evidence is still being like examined. New theories are still coming out.
It's like a historical cold case.
Absolutely.
And the silence surrounding those boys is just so unsettling.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it makes you wonder about how history actually gets written.
Yeah.
The winners, right? They get to tell the story.
Right.
So, like, just think about the Act of Titulus Regis for a second.
Okay.
This was passed during Richard III's reign and basically declared Edward IV's marriage, like, invalid,
Wow.
which makes his kids illegitimate, boom. Clears the path for Richard to the throne. So was this, like, a legitimate legal maneuver or just a power grab?
That's the debate, right?
Yeah.
But regardless, it shaped how everyone saw his claim to power. It shows how much more there is to this mystery than just like a bad uncle.
Right. So even the legal justifications are controversial.
Oh, yeah.
It's a potent reminder that what we think of as truth can be really complex and often contested.
For sure.
Speaking of complex figures and tricky paths to power, our next stop is Russia.
Oh, I love it.
Catherine the Great.
From the Plantagenets to the Romanovs, let's go.
Let's go.
Catherine's story is just incredible. A German princess who ends up becoming one of Russia's most influential and longest reigning emperors.
Long reign.
But her rise to the top wasn't easy. She had to pull off a coup d'etat against her own husband, Tsar Peter III. A coup. Talk about a bold move.
No kidding.
And in this power grab, we've got Grigory Orlov,
Yes.
military officer, key figure in her inner circle.
Essential.
Their relationship. That's where things get really interesting.
It does. It was way more than just like a political alliance.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Orlov was much more than a political ally. This guy was her lover and confidant. He was instrumental in planning and carrying out that coup that made her empress. But their relationship, it went on for a long time, and it was complicated, and it raises a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Was it like a true deep love? Or was it a calculated manipulation on one side, or even both sides? Or was it like a partnership of convenience, Something that just helped both of them in that really volatile court.
Yeah, and those are the questions that our sources are raising. It makes you think about the mix of personal and political motivations that were at play. I mean, in those royal courts, could you even separate those two?
Right.
Every relationship had layers of strategy and self-preservation built in.
Exactly. Their connection shows us how blurry the lines were between personal life and political necessity in the Russian high society of the time.
Yeah.
Catherine needed allies to make her position strong. And Orlov, well, he provided that. He had the military power and the influence in all the right circles. Was there genuine affection? Maybe. Was it just a side effect of their close and powerful alliance? We don't know. What's fascinating is that this relationship directly impacted the Russian Empire. Orlov had a say in policy decisions and who got appointed to important positions for years.
So from the mystery of those English princes to this dance of power and passion in Russia, we're seeing that royal history is anything but boring. These aren't just stories in a textbook. These are human dramas with real consequences.
Exactly. And for those listening who might be interested in these historical puzzles and want to learn more about similar mysteries, our sources actually have some great advice.
Yeah, it's like a beginner's kit for becoming a royal history detective.
I love it.
And the first thing is really important. You have to approach your research with an open mind. You can't let your preconceived notions or the popular narratives color your understanding right from the start.
Couldn't agree more. As we saw with Richard III, historical reputations are often shaped by agendas that come later. Challenge your assumptions, question the narratives that everyone accepts, and be open to different interpretations, even if they go against what you've always believed.
The second tool in your kit,
Mm.
cross-reference your sources. Don't rely on just one account, no matter how authoritative it seems.
Exactly. Look for different perspectives. Check out primary sources. The letters, diaries, official documents from the time period,
The raw stuff.
but also contemporary accounts from different points of view, and then see how modern historians analyze and interpret the same evidence. It's amazing what you can learn when you compare these different points of view.
And this next tip is really interesting. Look for the underdogs.
I love that way.
It's all about finding those voices that are often ignored in the traditional historical accounts.
Yeah, the experiences and perspectives of the people who weren't in power, the everyday people, servants, lower level officials, they can offer incredibly valuable glimpses into what life was really like back then, and can sometimes even contradict or complicate the official narratives created by the elite.
Yeah.
Their letters or records, even if there aren't many, can help us understand events in a much more grounded way.
Our fourth piece of expert advice is about understanding the context.
Yeah.
It's easy to judge historical figures and events by our values today, but
And it's so important to remember that they lived in completely different social, political, economic, and even religious frameworks. If you want to understand their motivations and actions in a way that makes sense, you have to understand the context of their time. Don't look at it through a modern lens.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And finally, the fifth tip, engage with experts. Don't be afraid to dive into the world of historical scholarship.
Definitely. Attend lectures or webinars done by historians, explore online history forums and communities, and for sure read books and articles by respected historians. You can learn so much by engaging with their research and debates.
Now, beyond those traditional ways to research our source, also suggest some, let's say, more creative approaches to exploring royal mysteries.
Interesting.
First up, historical fiction.
Now, that might sound a little counterintuitive for serious historical research, but good historical fiction can actually be a really cool way to connect with the human side of history.
I can see that.
It might not be 100% accurate,
Yeah.
but it can offer really imaginative interpretations of what happened and how historical figures felt and thought, which can spark your empathy and curiosity, and maybe even lead you back to the primary sources with new questions.
And the second unconventional tip is to use modern technology.
Oh yeah, think about it. Virtual reality experiences that can transport you to historical settings, interactive historical timelines, and maps, even augmented reality apps that can overlay historical information onto real-world locations.
That's amazing.
These tools can make history much more immersive and engaging than just reading about it in a book.
It's incredible how technology can connect us to those bygone eras. So whether it's the mystery of Richard III and the Princes in the Tower, or the complex relationship between Catherine the Great and Orlov, these stories still have a hold on us for a reason.
Absolutely. And it's more than just the historical facts. These stories explore universal human themes like ambition, love, loyalty, and betrayal.
Yeah.
Royal scandals, maybe because the stakes were so high, often reveal the deepest parts of human nature.
They really do. They make us look beyond the surface to question what we think we know and to realize that history is rarely straightforward with clear-cut good guys and bad guys. There are always layers of complexity.
And that leads to a really crucial point. History isn't a set of facts carved in stone.
Right.
It's a dynamic field that's always changing. It's constantly being re-examined and reinterpreted as new evidence is discovered and new perspectives come into play.
So as you keep exploring the world of royal history and beyond, remember that. Stay curious.
And never stop questioning.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.